You are here. You are here because you're an innovator, a doer, a leader. Because you imagine, design, and build things never seen before. Where others see problems, you see opportunity. You know that tomorrow's biggest innovations start today, and that AI isn't just here, it's rewriting the rules of the game. This is the moment to invent, scale, break limits. Yesterday's databases? They'll struggle with tomorrow's demands. You need a database built to keep up with you. A database that's adaptable by design, capable of handling dynamic real-world data, and speaks the language of AI. A database that cuts friction, fuels speed, and frees you to make the impossible possible. You are here. This is the moment. Your moment. Let's go.
Please welcome MongoDB President and CEO, Dev Ittycheria.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be back here in New York City at MongoDB.local NYC. And I'm really grateful for all of you to spend time with us today. I know all of you have super busy schedules, so it means a lot that you want to devote today to be with us. I also want to take a moment to thank all our incredible sponsors, especially our global sponsors, AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft, as well as our gold sponsors, Accenture, IBM, and Infosys, and all the other sponsors who really made this day come together. Please take a moment during breaks to go to the booths and get a sense of how they're using MongoDB to partner and build better solutions for all of you. We have a fantastic day ahead. There's over 50 sessions, deep dives around the technology, customer case studies, hands-on workshops, and there's multiple opportunities for you to earn skill badges throughout the day. And to make most of the day, if you haven't already done so, I recommend you scan this QR code to really understand what's all going on, happening on this floor and the floor upstairs, so you can make sure you can go to the events that are most, and activities that are most important to you. Just to put things in context, this is MongoDB.local NYC, and we do this all around the world. So this is going to be one of over 20 events we do in North America, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. So our goal is really to meet our customers where they are. We run a truly global business. And since the last time we were on this stage, we've had tens of thousands of people attend these events all around the world. And now we're back here in New York. This year has been marked by some great milestones. I just want to give you a couple in terms of giving some sense of our business. When I first joined MongoDB, we were a fairly small company, still with a decent name, but still unproven. And we had roughly 1,000 customers, and we were doing a little under 40 million that year. Just to put things in perspective, now we have nearly 60,000 customers, and Wall Street estimates that we'll do about 2.4 billion in revenue this year. To put that in perspective, we do now in 1 week more than we did when I joined 11 years ago. That gives you a sense of our growth. And the point is that our growth is as much about you as it's about us. It's really a reflection of all the incredible work you're doing to use MongoDB to run and transform your business. And to give you a sense of the kinds of companies we have companies of all shapes and sizes for all kinds of use cases across almost every industry and every geography using MongoDB, including over 70% of the Fortune 500, as well as AI native startups you may have heard of, and even some you have not heard of. And they've all recognized that the relational database is not best suited for today's modern requirements. Companies like Toyota Connected, that powers critical vehicle safety systems around the world. McKesson, that manages highly regulated pharmaceutical supply chains. Coinbase, that operates reliably through immense market volatility, and Electronic Arts, that delivers always-on gaming experiences. These companies realize they need a modern, highly flexible, and scalable solution for today's challenges. So I think it's not hubris to say that we are the world's most popular modern database, and we're consistently ranked at the top of developer surveys that highlight this. Now, the reason for our popularity is that the alternative out there is the relational database. And you have to remind everyone that this was originally conceived over 50 years ago when the world was a very different place. And not many people know this, but the founders of MongoDB were also the founders of a company called DoubleClick. DoubleClick was one of the first web-scale apps that had to serve billions of ads per day, so consequently that to deal with massive amounts of data. So they observed the constraints and limitations of the relational model firsthand over 20 years ago. The first constraint is that the relational model is incredibly rigid. It's designed for a world that was very uniform and very predictable. Well, we know that's not the case today. It's also very brittle. It's hard to make changes when your business needs to respond to new opportunities or new threats. And it's awfully challenging to scale. So the MongoDB founders became tired of investing more and more time and money and effort to work around these constraints. So they said there's got to be a better way. And that epiphany was what we call the document model. The document model built on JSON, as we believe, we would argue, is the easiest way to organize and work with data. It allows you to model and represent the messiness, the high interdependence, the constantly evolving nature of data of the modern world. It has the flexibility to handle a wide range of data types, which is so important when 70% of the world's data is unstructured. It offers agility to easily make changes as your data model and your business changes. And it also enables you to do that when the pace of change is only accelerating. And because MongoDB is built on distributed architecture, it offers unparalleled scalability and performance. And we think that the pace of change is high today. It's only going to get faster with AI. If your business is built on a technology that doesn't adapt well to change, you simply will not be able to keep up with the competition. So the principles of the document model are even more relevant today as we transition to a world powered by AI. So at the risk of being trite or being a cliche, we are entering into a new era of how everyone will use this technology to transform their business. And hopefully, what I'll try to do is explain why the database you choose matters more now than it ever did before. And the first generation of AI tools have been really focused on what I call end-user productivity, making developers more productive with code gen tools, making customer support personnel more productive with conversational chatbots, making business users more productive by summarizing documents, synthesizing them, and creating new documents. But this is just the beginning. The next wave of AI applications are all about agents. And instead of single-purpose chatbots or autocomplete on steroids, agents are most similar to the way humans actually think. We focus on an outcome, then we decide what are the process and steps and tasks we need to take to get there. And agents operate the same way. So they won't just make us more productive, they'll actually drive true business and industry transformation. So just to level set on what an agent does, I use these definitions. I believe agents can be understood as systems that perceive, decide, and act in a continuous loop of desired outcomes. They can be a simple shopping agent, a travel planner, a financial analyst, a legal assistant, or anything you can imagine across a wide variety of domains. And so while a large language model provides the reasoning, it is the database that gives the agent memory and state. So in the perception phase, this database supplies the agent with context such as user preferences, prior actions, constraints, and enabling it to understand more than just the immediate input. In the decision phase, the database helps with planning by providing accurate facts so that the LM can help the agent decide what to do. And in the act phase, the database captures the outcomes of the new state of things. Consequently, the database is the agent's memory and source of truth, allowing it to operate coherently across multiple cycles and even coordinate with other agents. So to make this come to life, I'm going to give you an example that I think everyone could understand. Imagine you and your partner want to go on a vacation. You decide, you know what, we want to go to the Amalfi Coast, and we want to, take some time and enjoy the scenery there. So you use your AI agent to define what are your budget constraints and what are the dates that you want to travel. And then you start the process to book your vacation. Now, the agent may also know that you prefer boutique hotels, restaurants maybe off the beaten path, that you like morning flights, and that you tend to favor water excursions over long car drives. With this context, the agent builds a tailored plan that fits your constraints and your preferences really without your involvement. And as the itinerary takes shape, the database acts as the ledger, recording the actions that have been taken, the cost and timing of flight to Naples, the booking of a hotel in Positano, and a dinner reservation in Ravello. These are all logged in the database. And because all this state is stored, the agent can reason clearly about what remains, how much budget I have left, what days are already committed, and what choices have already been made. So the database is not only the memory of the past, but also provides the constraints so that each new decision fits into the overall plan. Now, God forbid, if that Naples flight is canceled, the agent will immediately see what other flights are available, understand the existing itinerary, and replan around those immovable or important events. Or if a coveted restaurant table suddenly becomes available, it secures the reservation and reshuffles the itinerary accordingly. So the point here is the database is at the center of making that agent adaptive and proactive, turning what used to be a brittle booking engine into a capable and responsive travel manager that can orchestrate an enjoyable vacation within time constraints, budget constraints, and even factor in challenges and any unanticipated events. So you can see how memory, context, state, and real-time data enable you to build a powerful agent that can transform your business or even your life. Now, obviously, I've shown you a very simple example, but as the technology matures, there's no question that agents will transform every industry and every company. But the funny thing is, given all this promise, this hasn't happened yet. In fact, in a recent MIT study, it highlighted that 94% of corporations have failed with their AI projects. And the interesting thing is not because of the LLMs, but because of the lack of the ability to use memory for complicated AI use cases. Being able to store and retrieve memories and apply that context to problem solving and decision making is a massive factor for delivering high value and transformative use cases. So if memory is so crucial, you need to think very, very hard about the database that can deliver on these capabilities. So then the obvious question is, what does the ideal database for AI look like? Well, let's go through the requirements. It obviously has to model the complicated nature of the modern world and the world that's constantly changing. It needs to perform sophisticated search and retrieval across raw data, metadata, embeddings, etc., to find the right information quickly and easily. And none of this matters if you can't trust your database. It needs to support an environment where the intensity of usage is far higher than ever before, as agents don't take breaks, they don't go to lunch, they don't go home at night, and they certainly don't go on vacation. So it needs to be massively performant and scalable and incredibly secure. So given these requirements, let's take a look. Well, we know that JSON is the best way to model the real world, and this is what MongoDB delivers. We are a native JSON database, the ability to handle all types of data and adapt and change very, very quickly. But what's also interesting is that JSON has become the language of AI. LLMs are trained on JSON. MCP emits and consumes JSON. Other adjacent technologies use JSON. So bring this kind of dynamic data into MongoDB is so easy and so seamless. Second, our advanced search and retrieval methods go far beyond simple queries. We use both keyword and exact matching, but also you can search on meaning and intent. So you can do a hybrid query, a vector similarity search, a keyword search, and search on metadata filters all in one pass. So this means that developers can build AI-powered agentic applications without having to stitch together multiple separate databases or search engines. So this is a far simpler path to more relevant and accurate search results. And then embeddings, something that people have only started to appreciate now, are the bridge between a customer's private data and the LLMs. And what's clear is that the higher the quality of the embedding models, the better the LLMs can reason to improve their output. And through our acquisition of Voyage AI at the end of last year, we are providing the industry's leading embedding and re-ranking models by optimizing most contextually rich, domain-optimized embeddings. So what, said in another very simple way, MongoDB sits at the gateway of meaning of an AI system. And last but not least, as you said, we have thousands of customers. Our platform is battle tested, pushing on performance, on availability, on security. And I mentioned earlier that over 70% of the Fortune 500 rely on MongoDB. And that's not by accident. That's not something a new company or new technology can replicate overnight. It takes years of investment, of focus, and experience to do that. So what's interesting is, as you can see, MongoDB doesn't just check the box on this list of requirements, it actually defines them. And what's clear is that our architecture wasn't retrofitted to meet the requirements of the modern agentic world, because we were actually built that way from the start based on the document model. So if I go back to my original question, is you ask AI, what's the ideal database that will power the modern agentic world? And I encourage all of you to ask your favorite frontier model. I think it will look an awfully lot like MongoDB. And these are just a few of the thousands of customers who are putting us at the center of their AI journeys, from large incumbents to native AI startups. And you'll hear from some of them today. So companies of all sizes are building their AI future with MongoDB. And again, I want to emphasize that memory and state are key to developing transformative agentic AI applications, and picking the right database is even more critical today than ever before. So we have a great day planned for you. What you're going to hear today is all about our latest release, MongoDB 8.2. It's our most feature-rich and performant release yet. And you're also going to hear about the next generation of encryption we call Queryable encryption, which is an industry-first security capability that no other platform has. You'll also hear about Voyage's latest embedding models, natively integrated into MongoDB, delivering state-of-the-art, accurate, and trustworthy models to build more reliable applications. And our new application modernization platform is something we're super excited about. It's engineered to help customers cut the risk, cost, and time of updating and migrating legacy applications. So our approach is an agentic approach to leverage it to transform code and schemas, and we believe enterprises will be able to move 2 to 3 times faster from their legacy system to MongoDB using this new approach that we call AMP. So there's obviously a lot of us very excited about what we're doing here today. So what I'd like to do next is to welcome who I affectionately call the wizard, one of our most senior product leaders, Olivo, and he was going to give you a lot of detail about the foundation that we're building that talks about MongoDB 8.2. Oz?
Thank you, Dave. Now, I'm a little biased because I've seen firsthand what our teams have put into the database. But I generally do believe MongoDB is the strongest foundation you could have for the agentic future Dave just described. MongoDB 8.0 shipped just last October, and it's already become our fastest adopted release ever. More than half of Atlas clusters are already running it. That's because 8.0 delivered more of what your applications need now and what they will need in the AI era. Compared to our previous release, 8.0 achieved 36% more read throughput for read-only workloads, 59% higher throughput for bulk updates, and for common time series workloads, we're seeing an incredible 200% faster time series reads, thanks to advanced block processing. But 8.0 wasn't just about performance. We made the database easier to operate at scale as well. For this, we've added new insights into how queries run, so you'll see bottlenecks before they ever slow you down. And once you're sharded, we've made it easier to keep up with your applications by making resharding up to 50 times faster. And if that's not enough, in 8.0, we also optimize the database across concurrency, memory management, and query execution. So every application will run better just by upgrading. 8.0 set a new bar. So of course, we couldn't wait to raise it again. That's why today we're announcing MongoDB 8.2. As we enter an agentic world, performance isn't just about pleasing human users. It's about machines talking to machines, applications calling agents, agents calling other agents, all in real time. Not only do agents not take lunch, they never sleep. It's an unforgiving workload where every millisecond, every throughput gain matters more than ever. MongoDB 8.2 takes another big step forward in performance to meet the challenges of this new era. In 8.2, unindexed queries are up to 42% faster, which means even when requests are unpredictable, responses will stay quick and reliable. Array traversals, the kinds of queries that dig into more complex data structures, are about 20% faster, making operations smoother end to end. And time series bulk inserts run nearly 3 times faster, so you can ingest massive streams of machine-generated data without hitting a wall. We're also, as always, focused on security. And we've steadily advanced Queryable encryption, a true industry first. The enterprise-grade security technology protects sensitive data at every point in its journey. Most database vendors only protect data at rest or in transit over the network. But when data is in use and being processed, it's often left exposed to administrators and service operators. Unique to MongoDB, Queryable encryption closes that loop. It's the first fully integrated database technology that keeps data encrypted, not just when it's at rest and in transit, but also, and here's where the big difference is, while it's actually in use in memory. With Queryable encryption, MongoDB ensures your data can only be viewed by the authorized application while still remaining searchable with expressive query types. But with 8.2, we've expanded what Queryable encryption can do. We started with the support for exact match equality queries and expressive range queries across numbers and dates. Now in 8.2, we've added substring support, letting you search encrypted data with prefix, suffix, and partial matches. Imagine the possibilities. A doctor or a nurse searches by patient name and autocomplete finds the records, but the data behind it never leaves its encrypted state. A bank analyst flags accounts by the last 4 digits of a social security number without ever exposing the value in memory. This is a breakthrough that keeps your most sensitive data secure at every single step. Across performance and security, these are all really exciting improvements. And we know many of you want access to them right away, even if you're not building on Atlas. Bleeding edge builders don't have the time to wait. So starting with 8.2, every incremental release will now be available across Atlas, Community, and Enterprise Advanced. This gives you the freedom to put new and advanced capabilities to work the moment they're ready. And for those applications that are sensitive to change and need to stay on a release longer, we've got your back here too. Currently, major releases are supported for 3 years. Starting with MongoDB 8.0, I'm very excited to announce that we're extending long-term support from 3 to 5 years. It'll give you more stability when you need it and the freedom to innovate on your own schedules. Having great upgrade options does not only apply to new features. It also applies to where and how you want to run MongoDB. Because with MongoDB, you don't just get a database. You get a consistent foundation that runs everywhere your applications need to be. Whether you're developing on a laptop, running in a data center, or using Atlas in the cloud, it's the same skills, the same features, and the same experience. You only need to learn one database. You only need to learn one API. Now, if you choose to run in Atlas, you can run on AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. Atlas has more than 120 supported regions worldwide across all 3 major hyperscalers. You can keep data close to your customers, meet governance requirements, and integrate with native cloud services wherever you operate. But Atlas can do a lot more than just run on different clouds. Atlas supports a single cluster spanning across multiple clouds. So you can leverage each provider's unique features and specialized infrastructure from a single deployment. This is especially important today when it comes to the fast-evolving AI landscape. This flexibility ensures you can always take advantage of new AI capabilities, regardless of what cloud they're available in. So, whether you're managing MongoDB yourself or relying on Atlas as a fully managed service, you stay in control, free to deploy, move, and scale in the way that best supports your growth today and in the future. With MongoDB, you get the foundation you can count on, with performance to power demanding applications, security that protects your most sensitive data, and the flexibility to run anywhere. There's so much more to tell you. So please attend the session later today to learn more. Performance and reliability aren't just features of our latest releases. They're the non-negotiables our customers depend on. So let's hear from one of them now. McKesson is a leading pharmaceutical distributor who provides prescriptions for over 1/3 of North America. The applications that they run on MongoDB play a vital role in making sure essential medications reach the patients they need. Please join me in welcoming Brian Schmidt, Pendra Kulkarni, in conversation with MongoDB's very own Melissa Plunkett.
McKesson has been called the largest healthcare service provider that you've never heard of. Pendra, can you give us a sense of McKesson's scale and impact and your individual roles in the mission?
Absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity. McKesson is the largest drug distributor within the United States. We serve about 40% of the RX products within the United States. 1/3 of the medication is supplied by McKesson across the North America. And within McKesson, I work as a principal product manager, and I've been with the company for about 15 years.
Yeah, Brian Schmidt, principal IT architect. I've been working with the DSCSA systems, which is one of the systems we're going to talk about today. But in addition to McKesson being the largest, we're one of the oldest too, well over 200 years old, which is kind of astounding in today's market, right? Where you have all these new up-and-coming companies. We've been around for a very long time in this industry, and we continue to be successful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, there was a regulation passed in 2013, the Drug Supply Chain Security Act, or DSCSA, that you just mentioned. Brian, for those unfamiliar with it, what does this regulation require? And at a high level, without getting into a lot of technical details just yet, what kinds of challenges does that create for a company like McKesson?
Yeah, thanks. So DSCSA was a new regulation to help patient safety. Back in 2013, the states were starting to organize around coming up with ways to protect counterfeit drugs. And so a coalition formed at the federal level to help us make sure we had a unified market in the space. And really what it means is every pharmaceutical product, drug, every bottle has a unique serial number within the globe. So if I get a particular bottle, I can scan that and authenticate that drug all the way back to the manufacturer if I needed to, enhancing the patient safety and the efficacy of the drug.
Fantastic. Now, I understand that this is pretty massive scale. We're talking 1.2 billion serial numbers, and I believe that is annually. So it's billions of drug bottles where accuracy is critical because, as I understand it, even small errors could impact patients. Is that correct?
That's correct. So for DSCSA, one of the regulations is that the supplier has to send us not only the product, but the data. And if the two don't match, the challenge is that product is now as if it didn't exist in the supply chain. So you can think of a lot of drugs where we've had shortages over the last decade or so. Every bottle matters when you come to a pharmaceutical supply chain. And so not only that, but when we send our product to our customers, we have the same responsibility. So our dispensers cannot receive or use that product unless we send them the accurate information. And it kind of changes the mindset, because now you have a product and the data is just as important as the product itself to be usable.
Amazing. So now I understand that McKesson's first approach involved a specialized SAP compliance system together with Postgres, but that setup couldn't serve your use case at scale. So we'll get to how MongoDB comes into play in a moment, but Brian, can you first walk us through at a high level what the limitations were and what kind of solution you ultimately had to build?
Yeah, so we attempted at first to come up with one system to solve all of our problems. And what we realized at our size and scale, it just became impossible. Once we started overlaying all of our use cases from receiving, picking, packing, shipping, and then trying to service our customer with the data that they're required, all the use cases just started to combine and we couldn't scale on the platform. And so that's where we pivoted and moved to federating our information to be able to take our warehousing information, put that on its own repository, and also take our customer information and put that on its own repository to help alleviate that bottleneck and that scaling.
Fantastic. Now, as I understand it, you built two repositories. So you had the central data repository, or CDR, and then DSR, which is the distributed serial repository. So with the pain points for that first approach, what led you to go with that dual system?
Yeah, so part of it was we had lots of requirements. So let me step back. DSCSA was a very new regulatory requirement. We were out to build something that didn't exist. There's no off-the-shelf software that you can go and buy or look at. So with this, all the new challenges, and we went with DSR to help break down the recalls from our warehouse management. So we have about 60 warehouses across the nation. We do about 2 million verification calls every evening in the supply chain. And with all that activity, we decided to go ahead and put a distribution-facing system to be able to handle those calls. On the customer side, we have customer use cases where we have to supply information to 350,000 plus customers every day. And all that activity, unfortunately, happens all in the morning. So anytime from 7 a.m. to noon is when everybody's wanting their information. And so it made sense to help separate those systems out to the individual use cases to make sure that we're able to be successful.
Fantastic. So now you've decided on the CDR, DSR approach. So what tipped the scale toward MongoDB?
So a couple of different things, right? One of the key things was our data in the DSCSA world is very hierarchical in nature. And obviously the document database fits that model very, very nicely. It was a very good fit. We also took a look at some of the performance metrics between MongoDB and other systems. And with our access patterns, and I want to make that key, is access patterns is key here. We were able to get much more performance-related metrics out of the MongoDB platform than some of the others that are out there. In addition, we had requirements to also have on-prem systems as well as in the cloud systems. So it allowed our developers to go ahead and code once and deploy anywhere we needed to in order to make our business successful.
Fantastic. So now Apendra, systems built, big day. So once you went live, how did it actually perform in the real world?
I think it's kind of overwhelming, and the kind of scale that we achieved. I think a big thank you to MongoDB as a partner, along with our partners as well. The go live has been as smooth as it can get. I think it's a moment that we all should be incredibly proud of, because if you see DSCSA, it is all about trust. It is about protecting the integrity of the supply chain so that our people that rely on our medication to manage their chronic conditions or fight infections can trust, feel safe that the medication that they're getting from is safe, it is authenticated, and that one that they can trace back from the manufacturer all the way to the pharmacy.
Fantastic. I mean, that is a huge accomplishment. You're really serving your patients well, and an enormous jump in scale. I understand it's 300x times what you expected with no disruption. And so that means a lot for your patients. What did it mean for the team?
What it means, it's a good question, because if you think about it, DSCSA, right? One, it is not just another regulatory project that we can just check market. It is about leading the way. It is about setting the standard for how pharmaceutical companies should approach compliance, that is with integrity, with innovation, and with a deep sense of responsibility. So having had this opportunity to work on critical projects like this that serve kind of the humanity, it's an incredibly proud moment.
And one of the things you mentioned, right, is the success we've had with this platform. So if you imagine, shipping a third of the pharmaceutical medications across the U.S., every second counts in the middle of the night. We did a study where even a third of a second would add an additional 15 people across the network. So if you have a system that cannot perform or be performant, it drastically impacts the operational perspective of actually meeting patient requirements and getting the pharmaceutical drugs there. On the CDR side, just to give some metrics around this, we went from servicing 1,000 requests right before we went live to the next day doing 300,000 requests in the next day. And MongoDB was so performant, we didn't even notice it. There's no blip on the map. The Atlas performed fantastic, and we were very proud of the success and what we were able to achieve in that area.
So glad we could partner with you in that. And I have to ask back, looking at the journey that you've gone through, what advice would you give your peers in the audience, Brian, if they're tackling similar large-scale mission-critical challenges like this?
Yeah, when I think about the entire journey, I think one of the keys for me was partnering with MongoDB, because they not only took the time to understand us, but they were really there for our success. I think when I was working with our account manager, Daniel Johnson, he said, Brian, I just want you to be successful. We're here to help you be successful. And that made a big difference, because with the DSCSA project, we were working with lots of vendors, lots of different technology, and MongoDB partnerships stood out because they were able to pivot when we wanted to pivot. They were able to accommodate and be able to provide that leadership when we need it. And it was very good. And I highly recommend anybody else to engage with you guys.
I'm so glad to hear that. Now, all of this is going, it's fantastic, but I have to ask you, what's next? Where do you see this system and the underlying technology expanding in the future?
Well, I think having met the FDA deadline of August 27, it is now about how can we future-proof our operations? How can we leverage the technology to meet those ever-growing challenges of the healthcare industry and the patients alike? And we have quite a few things that are lined up. We are about to complete a use case with the Mongo team on a Gen AI use case. And then we have a few more use cases that are lined up, and we are so excited to start our journey of foolproofing our operations now.
Yeah, and I just have to add, Mongo was key for us to accelerating our AI journey at McKesson. Being in technology, I think we've all heard of blockchain. If anybody remember those days when it was very popular, blockchain was going to save the world. AI was kind of, seen somewhat similar in our technology space, but being able to partner, you guys helped us accelerate and see real world results. And that's the key, is real world results that can speak to the business. And that was just fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much for sharing your story with us. Pendra.
Thank you.
Brian. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
It's not often that we get to hear about how large-scale technology choices filter all the way down to the individual patients. Many of us right here in this room, and there are our safety. We really appreciate McKesson sharing their story with us today. Now, McKesson's journey shows what it takes to run mission-critical systems at massive scale. Now we want to show you how those same capabilities can extend even further into powering a new generation of intelligent, AI-driven applications. Please welcome my friend and colleague, Frank Liu, MongoDB Staff Product Manager.
Thanks, Melissa. AI is a broad term, but if I were to define it with a single sentence, it would be something like this. AI helps us create applications capable of understanding the world as we humans do. And this will really bridge the gap between computers and people. What does that actually look like in practice? Let's start by taking a look at some different applications that leverage AI. First up is Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. RAG finds the most relevant information in a knowledge source using vector-based retrieval. And that information is then fed to a large language model to generate accurate, grounded responses. The ability to chat with developer documentation is a great example of this. Next up are recommendations. This is the ability for a system to intelligently surface content that a user would like to engage with. If I'm shopping on an e-commerce website and add a coffee machine to my shopping cart, a good recommendation system will recognize that I might also like to buy some coffee beans and maybe a milk frother as well. Last but not least, we have agent memory. Now, earlier, Dave talked about agents and how they are critical to unlocking transformational change with AI. These agents require memory to maintain context and adaptive feedback, much like humans do. A real-world use case is an autonomous digital campaign marketing team. And in this scenario, a team of highly specialized independent agents, such as a VP of marketing, a market researcher, a copywriter, a graphic designer, et cetera, collaborate to plan, create, and launch a complete marketing campaign from a single high-level prompt. They use both individual and shared memory to coordinate tasks, maintain brand consistency, and learn from their results over time. Bringing any of these use cases to life depends on one critical component, and that is the quality of your embedding models and re-rankers. This is often the difference between potential and production. And before we go any further, let's do a quick refresher on embeddings and re-ranking. An embedding model is used to convert everything from PDFs to images to audio or even code into an array of floating point values that capture meaning for software to process. The key thing to note here is this. Two embeddings that are close to one another in a high-dimensional space correspond to data that is related. Now, as for re-rankers, they compare each retrieved document directly to the user's query. You can think about it this way. You first retrieve results using embeddings, and a re-ranker then reorders those results to improve accuracy. Stronger embedding models and re-rankers improve the quality of retrieval. And this results in A, more relevant and grounded results for RAG, B, recommendation systems that actually drive more engagement and improve user satisfaction, and C, agents that remember the contents of past conversations. So if embedding models and re-rankers are so important, where can I get great ones? Well, I'm glad you asked. MongoDB Voyage offers best-in-class embedding models and re-rankers. We have your typical general-purpose text embedding models, which turn pure text into an embeddings. In this category, the Voyage 3.5 series outperforms competing models from the likes of OpenAI and Cohere, all while being more cost efficient. We also have powerful multimodal models, where typical multimodal embedding models are only capable of vectorizing a single photo or a single text string. Voyage Multimodal 3 is capable of vectorizing interleaved text and images. And it can also capture key visual features from screenshots of PDFs, slides, tables, figures, you name it. And this eliminates the need for complex document parsing while still maintaining retrieval accuracy. Innovation is the name of the game when it comes to AI, and embedding models, quite frankly, are no different. We recently released Voyage Context 3, a breakthrough in precise chunk retrieval with global document context. This contextualized chunk model is the very first of its kind. Our model processes the entire document in a single pass and generates a distinct embedding for each chunk, delivering superior retrieval performance. On the re-ranker side, our recent Rerank 2.5 release sets an industry standard for re-ranking with instruction following capabilities. Voyage models are designed for high accuracy and quality. And when you start using them, I think you'll find that we've done a lot of work to make them as developer-friendly as possible. And even though great embedding models and re-rankers are critical for building grounded, reliable AI applications, you still need other components to bring AI to life. With other database providers, this is an extremely complex process. You had to have your source of data, a database for structured data, and a vector database. You also had to feed that data into your embedding model, and then be sure to update both data stores. Then you had to have your results re-ranked outside of the database. Now, all this made for a very, very complex and multi-vendor environment. Now, you can do everything with MongoDB. This native integrated experience reduces friction for you and accelerates your AI application development journey. Search and vector search have been in Atlas for a while, but we understand that a lot of development starts locally. And as such, I'm pleased to announce that search and vector search are now available for Community Server and Enterprise Server. With these two releases, we're opening up our text and vector search capabilities for development, testing, and production in your own environments, in addition to Atlas. Now, I'd love to show you all of this in action. Please welcome Apurva Joshi to the stage to help me do that.
He's practicing.
Hey. All right. So, hey, Apurva, I heard you are a big fan of the movie The Devil Wears Prada. Is that right?
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. I watched it way too many times. Too many times for me to even admit. But I just can't get enough of Meryl Streep and her iconic stares. Like when she glares at Anne Hathaway at 32 minutes. Or, oh, my favorite, the cerulean sweater scene. You know what I'm talking about. At 54 minutes, 11 seconds. Or when she...
Hold up. That's actually pretty great. So you know the actual timestamps. I mean, you really have seen this movie a lot.
Well, I have to admit, I did have a little bit or a lot of help, right? All I really wanted was to find my favorite scenes from all of my favorite movies. So I built an app for it, an AI app for it. It's what you do these days, right?
Of course you did. Of course you did.
You want to see?
I would absolutely love to.
Let's do it.
Before you begin, I'm thinking maybe we shouldn't use The Devil Wears Prada since this is being live streamed, and I really don't think we want MongoDB to get sued.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, so why don't I use the next best thing? Are you ready for it?
Hit me.
Previous MongoDB.local keynotes. What? Are you really telling me you don't watch them all the time? What's better than curling up on your couch on a Friday night watching Dev, our CEO, talk about the greatest database of all time?
Well, look, you don't have to tell me twice. I do it every week, every weekend, so...
See? So, okay, jokes aside, there's this term that Dave always uses, something like critical moment. So how about we see if he talks about that in last year's keynote? So here's my app. I've already uploaded last year's keynote through it. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that, and I can start searching for my favorite moments. In this case, we want to look for critical moment. Oh, it's crucible moment. My bad. But while we're here, how about we look at what that means in Dave's own terms, right? So I'm going to click on that top search result here. It has the timestamp for me to skip to. So let's see what Dev has to say about crucible moments.
The most well-known venture capital firms in the world, and who's also one of our earliest and largest investors in the company, has a term they called a crucible moment. And they define a crucible moment as an inflection point where a choice you make today has an outsized bearing on the years and decades to come.
Oh, wow. I better not mess this demo up in case this ends up being a crucible moment in my life.
Look, crucible moment aside, this demo is super impressive. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you built it?
Sure, yeah. So the app contains a lot of the components that you were just talking about, right? I upload a video to it, and it first extracts frames from it. Then it uses Voyage AI's latest multimodal embedding model to embed each frame to capture what's happening within it. But can you believe that it cost me less than $1 to embed a whole 70-minute long video?
That is a great price point for a best-in-class embedding model.
Right? I think so too. And these embeddings are what make these frames searchable without using the exact keywords in the frame descriptions. And as you can see, I'm even able to match a text query to text within a frame image, which is something typical multimodal embedding models often struggle with. I've then implemented hybrid search using MongoDB's latest rank fusion aggregation stage, which allows me to combine vector search on the frame embeddings and full text search on the frame descriptions. So this really gives me the best of both worlds, which is semantic understanding from the embeddings and precise keyword matching from the full text search. And this really helped me improve the search quality within this application that I built.
This is awesome, Apoorva. The demo itself looks really smooth, but I also imagine there's a lot of other things that are happening behind the scenes. Now, could you tell us a little bit more about what makes this search so responsive?
Oh yeah, 100%. So speed is the name of the game, right? And there's many MongoDB features that you can use to optimize AI applications for not just real-time performance, but also massive scale. And one of my favorite features, something I use all the time, is this feature called quantization, which essentially shrinks full precision float32 vectors into smaller, lower precision vectors consisting of int 8 and binary values. So what does this mean? Where your vectors were initially taking 32 bits to store each dimension, they now only take 8 or even just 1. And the coolest thing is, you can retain most of the retrieval performance despite this compression. So you get a really good trade-off between accuracy and latency.
I absolutely love it. And to add a little bit more color to that, Voyage Context 3, Voyage 3 Large, and the Voyage 3.5 series are all trained with what is called quantization awareness. So if you use it in conjunction with the quantization that Apoorva was just talking about, you'll be able to retain a lot of the accuracy when it comes to search and retrieval.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Apoorva. One last thing, where can we get the code for this demo?
So there's a QR code right there that should take you to our GenAI Showcase GitHub repo that has this app that I was just showing you and many others for you to check out after today.
Awesome, awesome. I love it.
Well, thank you, Frank, and I'm going to now go re-watch The Devil Wears Prada. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Apoorva. Now, I know we've covered a lot, and many of you are ready to learn more. One area where I barely scratched the surface of is agents and agent memory. This is an incredibly exciting topic for me personally. Search and retrieval are essential components for agentic applications, and they're often the critical elements that take agents from prototype to production. Join us later today to learn more about using MongoDB for AI agent memory in this session. And also, Apoorva is hosting a hands-on workshop at 1:30 today. This workshop gives you the opportunity to earn one of the coveted MongoDB skill badges that Dave talked about at the start of the keynote. Skill badges are digital credentials that allow you to quickly learn and validate specific MongoDB skills. Now grab this QR code to access opportunities online with MongoDB University. Attend one of today's workshops, or if you only have 10 minutes to spare, look out for the Flash badge sessions at the university booth or at the Skill Hub on the 4th floor during breaks. I hope at least one thing is clear by now. If you build on MongoDB, you'll have everything you need to bring AI to life in your applications. But what if you aren't just building new software? What if you have a long tail of existing applications? The obvious solution to this problem is to modernize off of those legacy estates. But how to do that has been a real challenge. So here to tell you more about our new groundbreaking approach to modernization, please welcome Shilpa Kolhar to the stage.
I'm not sure I would call modernization fun. However, I'm sure everyone here would agree with that. But I do love a challenge. And what I love more is how MongoDB is solving for this one. So let's kick this off with a question, or maybe a few. How many legacy applications that you are running, you think that they're working fine, but still keep you awake at nights? Do you carry a lucky rabbit's foot? Or do you throw a penny in a wishing well every chance that you get? I have done that, and I can tell you there is a better way. We all know many of you are surrounded by large estate of legacy applications, which were built decades ago, and they still run critical parts of your business. These applications stick around because even making the simplest of change is extremely risky. How many of you have heard this phrase? Don't touch it, it's mission critical. These apps are draining budgets, risking compliance failures, security breaches, and ultimately slowing you down, slowing innovation. And very often, the developers who built these apps have moved on long time ago. So you are now left with maintaining these applications, which can be challenging because of, large estate of stored procedures. It's a ball of spaghetti, which is, hardly documented, and very convoluted to understand, okay? And then you have these outdated frameworks and runtimes, which are brittle and hard to upgrade. Code that you might not understand, that depends on technologies which are outdated, and you don't have time to learn it. There are no functional tests or unit tests to guide even the simplest of changes. And then a gap in vendor support or security patches once the framework has reached end of life. The cost just to keep the lights on these applications can be enormous. But making the decision to rewrite, to re-architect, and modernize these applications can be overwhelming. And it's why so many companies postpone their modernization projects year after year. But I have a good news. MongoDB has worked on many such modernization projects. And through years of experience, we have prioritized and come up with a perfect platform that is structured around proven and repeatable framework so that modernization can be easier and faster. Introducing MongoDB's Application Modernization Platform, or AMP for short. AMP helps companies rapidly transform their legacy applications into modern, scalable services on MongoDB. By combining AMP tooling with MongoDB's proven, repeatable framework, customers have seen some of the tasks like code transformations speed up by 10x, and overall modernization efforts by 2 to 3 times faster. These modernized apps will land on MongoDB, so you are better prepared and positioned for the future. AMP includes primarily 3 things. We call them the 3 T's: tools, techniques, and talent. We have developed a set of AI-powered and deterministic tools to perform specific modernization tasks, from creating functional tests, to transforming code, to migrating data, and so on. And these tools are paired with techniques and methodologies that we have created to address various modernization challenges. And then these are all put into action by our team of modernization experts. These are all designed to completely transform your applications from the data tier to the application tier, so that you are on MongoDB, and in the future, you can focus on building new capabilities and business differentiators, and you are ready to embrace AI. You know what? Customers are already seeing the results. Lombard Odier, a 200-year-old Swiss bank, successfully migrated key applications from its SQL database to MongoDB. This resulted in migrating code up to 60 times faster and reducing the regression testing time from 3 days to just 3 hours. Intellect AI, one of the world's largest fintech platforms, it was faced with significant performance and scalability challenges on their existing stack, which was based on a monolithic architecture and with relational database. By working with MongoDB, Intellect reduced their onboarding workflow times by 85%. Their clients can access their portfolio and get insights much faster now. Also, their development life cycles were sped up by as much as 200%. And Australia's Bendigo Bank, they reduced the development time required to migrate one of their core banking application from a legacy relational database to MongoDB Atlas by 90%. And with AI tooling, the bank was able to reduce time spent running their application test cases from over 80 hours to just under 5 minutes. These customers are all from a highly regulated industry. And if we can modernize with them, we can modernize for everyone. What we provide with AMP that has helped these customers and many others covers the entire life cycle of modernization. As you would expect, code conversion is a critical aspect. Now let me be clear. AMP is not about taking the legacy code base and throwing it into an LLM. Spoiler alert, that doesn't work. Trust me, we have tried it. Real applications have large and complex code bases that AI cannot handle effectively. And this is especially true for those applications centered around stored procedures. So our tooling enables us to break down this problem into smaller pieces and then work through the code base through an interactive, iterative, automated process. Even if you perform the conversion, a critical input is functional tests to prove that your converted application is functionally equivalent to your previous original application. And what we have built is tooling that assists both with static and dynamic analysis of your application to identify, those areas of concerns in your code or figuring out all the complexities involved in this entire modernization project. Obviously, you don't want to get into any modernization effort without fully understanding your application code and the code base. For this, we have tooling that can perform static and dynamic analysis. And certainly, last but not the least, we want to get your converted application onto production. For this, we have tooling and methodologies to help you de-risk that last mile of getting your application into production. So you can see we have covered you across all these areas with AMP. We have the tools that leverage AI where needed. We have the methodologies to address and approach those modernization challenges. And we have our team of experts who will work with you to bring this all together. This is all designed to help you produce a modern and a performant application running on MongoDB so that you can have no sleepless nights. I don't know, I can say that, like fewer sleepless nights and worrying about your legacy applications. Like, we don't want you to worry about it. And spend more productive hours developing the capabilities that your business needs. I hope that gives you an idea of what we can do to help with modernization. And there is so much more to show. For that, we have a full session today, right after this keynote, where you can see AMP in action. We are very excited about how we can help you with your application modernization on MongoDB. From the release of MongoDB 8.2 to our breakthrough industry-leading AI capabilities to MongoDB AMP, MongoDB is removing friction so you can move faster innovate more boldly, and adapt with confidence. And while today has been about what we have delivered and what you can build right now, we know the pace of change isn't slowing down. So now, let's explore our vision of that future. Please welcome my boss, CEO Dev Ittycheria, back to the stage, where he will be in conversation with Voyage AI founder Tengyu and CNBC's John Fortt. Thank you.
Good.
All right, nice gathering you've got here, guys. Thanks for having me. I sort of want to set the stage for the future here, Dave. So tell me your business perspective on agentic AI right now. In your career, you've seen a lot of these transitions, PC to web, web to mobile, and cloud. And there were certain, I think, practices, attributes that allowed some businesses to effectively zoom ahead, some developers to effectively zoom ahead. What were those, and how do those apply here? Sure. So I'm going to use the analogy with the SaaS of the cloud world. If you all remember, most people thought that when SaaS and cloud became very popular, that every application was essentially a CRUD function on a database. But then people realized it didn't make sense to recreate their own, CRM or their own HRIS system. So every customer ended up, implementing some version of Salesforce or some version of Workday or some of their equivalents. But that wasn't really a competitive advantage. That really just made their business run more efficiently, because your competitors could use Salesforce or Workday. What really provided a competitive advantage is the deep customization of software in terms of how companies engage with their customers, how they build new products, how they pursue new opportunities or respond to new threats, or found other ways to drive a competitive advantage. And I think we're going to see the same thing with AI. And I think the way agentic use cases will come about is that people start building very custom agentic use cases that truly transform the business in terms of seizing new opportunities, building new products, offering a very differentiated customer experience, and ultimately that will show up in how they compete in their markets. And allowing them, I guess, to really take advantage of AI capabilities as those advance. Now, Tengyu, 10 years ago, I believe you were a grad student at Princeton and an intern at Google. Congratulations on that retroactively, by the way. But now you've made good use of the last 10 years. But back then, when you were a grad student studying neural networks, machine learning, is this how you thought the next 10 years would turn out?
I think we do expect some part of it, but I think I didn't really expect the large language model wave 10 years ago. We saw the growth of deep learning starting from 2013, and there was a wave for AI with vision models, but large language model was really amazing, and yeah.
So you didn't see the large language model kind of inflection point happen. It was like, wait a long time, and then all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think so.
What's the lesson in that for technologists, for developers who maybe have expectations about how much time they have to adapt to the technology that we're seeing on the scene to really take full advantage maybe of what MongoDB is putting out there today?
So I think in some sense, I think the AI kind of technology is changing the workforce, changing the way that we work every day. So I think Anthropic has a blog post about this, and at MongoDB, we also have seen this. The AI developers are using the tools they developed to build better tools faster and more efficiently. So we are using code assistance. We are using our own models to help us to write new code to train the models, next generation of the models. So in some sense, there's a double acceleration here. So we are faster and faster in developing new models.
So Dave, along those lines too, in the ways that you need to effectively lead a team today, whether you're at the CEO level or like most other people in the room at a more micro level, how is this agentic moment changing the way you effectively build something. The human communication piece, and then even the degree of understanding you need to have of your organization's mission, your customers' needs. Yeah, I have a pretty optimistic view of AI and agentic use cases going forward and agentic tooling. I don't believe that suddenly all these jobs are going to disappear. In fact, when I look at like what our scale of our ambition, there's so much more we want to accomplish. It's not like we can say because we have AI tooling, all of a sudden we need less developers or less staff. We want to get more leverage out of them so we can actually, do more things or do more things more quickly. And we're still investing in R&D. We're still investing in building more capacity in our organization. And I think we view that tooling will enable us to move that much faster and get more output from the resources we have. And like most other organizations, I would have to, I think every development organization probably has a backlog of things they want to do, but they just don't have the resources to do it. And I think now with AI tooling, you're going to see the scale of ambition just increase dramatically of what people want to accomplish. And so I'm super excited about that, what that says for us. So about a year ago, I guess maybe a little less, you at MongoDB bought Tengyu's company, Voyager. Tell me why and how some of those technologies that you picked up that his team's working on are really embedded into what folks are going to be learning about today. Sure. So when we rolled out our vector store, and we were really proud that we could offer companies the ability to do this very sophisticated, and you heard a little earlier about hybrid search, the rank fusion command, that you can do very sophisticated searches. But customers, when they heard the story, said, yes, but I still have one problem. I still need to go embed my data because you can't use a vector store without embedding your data. And so we said, okay, that's a fair point. So we're creating like an extra step in the process. It wasn't a seamless developer experience. And so we said, okay, let's go try organically building our own embedding models. We quickly realized that would take a long time, and we didn't necessarily have the expertise. And fortunately, through some venture connections that I had, we got connected to Tengyu and his team, and we were dazzled by what Tengyu and his team were doing. And I think at the same time, they were also thinking about maybe they should be part of a larger organization. So we had multiple conversations and discussions and realized it made sense to do that. And what's really impressive is the Voyage models are really well, Tengyu may not say this himself, but they're super well respected. Their team, Tengyu and his team are a bunch of rock stars, and they're really respected in the AI community. And the Voyage models are ranked very high, so much so that Anthropic recommends the Voyage models to all their customers. So we got really excited, and that's why we ultimately decided to make Voyage part of the MongoDB family. Tengyu, why were you building that?
So because we believe that we have amazing kind of progress in the last few years for the AI's capabilities, but sometimes people forget or miss that these AI models off the shelf cannot access proprietary information the company or an individual has. So these models are like smart brains, but you always have to connect them to the proprietary information so that they can have the context and backgrounds to make reliable, accurate decisions or responses.
Otherwise, they're just kind of guessing, right? It's like smart. You got to read stuff or talk to people in order to, no matter how intelligent you are, really get practically smarter.
Exactly. For example, even you have a smart guy like Einstein joining MongoDB on the first day, that person needs to read MongoDB's documentations, internal documents to contribute to MongoDB.
Okay.
Yeah, and embedding models is this tool that MongoDB built to make this kind of connections and ingesting massive data into large language model possible. In some sense, it's kind of like a librarian, so which help you find the most relevant book or book chapters in a library. So and in some sense, this librarian is also beyond the traditional librarian who is using the call numbers, right? The call number is just 9 digits. But here, the embedding model actually generates thousands of numerical floating point precision numbers to represent not only the book title, the year, the authors, but also every little details in that book, up to the chapters, sentences, or even any entities in the book. So that when you use this longer version of the call numbers, we call the embeddings or vectors, to search the relevant chapters, you can be much more accurate and much more efficient.
Okay. If I can just add, I think the thing that I think a lot of people don't appreciate is that the frontier models have scraped all the public data. So they have basically indexed and scraped all that data. The real secret sauce for any company is their private information. So what the embedding models are truly a bridge between a company's private data and the LLM. And no company is just going to hand the private data to a frontier model. So the best way to essentially, figure out how to leverage their private data is through the embedding model. So I think what the industry is starting to realize and value is that the quality of the embedding models and the re-ranking models are super important to be able to reason and make good decisions about your own data, which is frankly what most customers have to do on a day-to-day basis. So that's why this element that was kind of viewed not as strategic or sexy a couple years ago is now viewed as super important to build, again, reliable and trustworthy AI applications.
Tengyu, game plan time for the folks here in the room. If you were getting ready to go out into these breakout sessions, interact with peers, whatever, how do you make the best use of your time today?
I would encourage people to understand, and kind of get more familiar with our products. I think I think one of the reasons, for example, that I believe that the vision and join MongoDB is that we believe in the document model, which is what AI is all about, because AI's data are unstructured, semi-structured. In some sense, that's fundamental because our brains don't store knowledge in rows and columns, but we store knowledge in some kind of unstructured, semi-structured way. I do believe that MongoDB is uniquely suited for the new generation of the AI applications. There will be a massive replacement of the old traditional softwares by AI native softwares, and all of them requires a database. And MongoDB can be that database that is intelligent because you can search through the database with the embedding models, the re-rankers, and get most relevant information.
Well, let's let them get to it. Dave, Tengyu, thanks for having me here, helping you kick it off.
Well, you're our rock star from CNBC, so thank you for being here.
Well, I got to get to work.
Yeah, that's it. How the market's doing. Thank you very much.
We'll take.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
this concludes the keynote section of the day. We're going to take roughly a 15-minute break. The breakout sessions will start at 10:45. So refill your coffee cups, do whatever you need to, and the next session will start at 10:45. Thank you very much. Good.